On a cold winter night, the global energy crisis begins with something very ordinary: a household electricity bill.
For Emma and Mark, a normal middle-class couple, the price of electricity has quietly turned into a monthly nightmare. Despite turning down the heating and switching off lights, their bill has doubled again, eating into everything else. Their story feels small and personal, yet it is woven into a much bigger struggle over how the world gets its power. Across town, a steel plant glows in the dark, burning through electricity at a scale that households can barely imagine.
For Lucas, the plant manager, electricity is not a utility bill. It is the difference between profit and shutdown. When power prices spike, every ton of steel he pours risks being sold at a loss to cheaper foreign competitors. Behind numbers and graphs, he sees workers' shifts, potential layoffs, and the quiet possibility of moving production abroad.
Not far away, sleek wind turbines spin steadily in the night, symbols of the clean energy future everyone keeps talking about.
Yet tonight, the grid cannot absorb all this clean electricity, forcing operators to switch some of it off and waste it.
A family kitchen, a heavy industry furnace, and a windy hillside. 3 scenes tied together by the same invisible power system.
This is the global energy transition, a tense attempt to cut carbon emissions while keeping electricity cheap and reliable for everyone.
The shock of 2022, when gas supplies tightened and prices exploded, made this transition feel urgent instead of optional.
Electricity prices surged, governments rushed to cap bills, and both families and factories discovered how fragile their energy lifeline really was.
In Europe, the crisis turned climate policy into geopolitics, pushing leaders to cut fossil fuel dependence and accept. In Washington, a massive package of subsidies and tax credits promised to turn clean energy into the backbone of a new industrial boom.
Europe answered with its own green industrial push, determined not to lose factories, jobs, and technology to the other side of the Atlantic.
Meanwhile, China, already years ahead in solar panels and batteries, kept expanding its factories, defending its lead in the new energy supply chains.
Soon, a new industrial race emerged. Who would control the factories, the minerals, and the technologies of 21st century energy? Batteries, turbines, solar modules, hydrogen, and grid equipment became the new heavy industry, just as critical as steel or oil once were.
Back in Emma and Mark's kitchen, the worst of the crisis has passed, but electricity still feels expensive and unpredictable. Like millions of households, they want 2 things at once: lower bills and a cleaner future for their children. But in the short term, those goals can pull apart, as new investments and higher system costs push prices up before they come down.
Wind and solar are cheap when nature cooperates, but turning them into constant, stable electricity requires grids, storage, and backup capacity. That means massive investments in transmission lines, big batteries, flexible demand, and smarter control systems that most people never see.
For Lucas, the future is something called green steel, made with hydrogen and electricity instead of coal. But it demands even more cheap power.
If electricity stays costly and volatile, his low-carbon steel will struggle against cheaper imports made with dirtier fuels elsewhere.
Energy-intensive industries watch electricity prices like hawks, shifting investment and production toward countries where power is cheaper and rules are looser.
At the same time, brand new gigafactories are rising, promising thousands of jobs and a chance to anchor the next wave of industrial growth.
Behind these shiny plants lies an older race for minerals: lithium, nickel, cobalt, copper, and rare earths powering the battery age.
Emerging economies see both opportunity and danger, become more than raw material exporters, or risk being locked again at the bottom of the value chain.
For Emma and Mark, the abstract race turns concrete when the news announces a new battery factory just a few towns away. He wonders if this might be his future, as his current factory cuts shifts and the green economy promises something more secure.
On the same screen, commentators argue, are these huge subsidies a smart investment in jobs or a costly gift to big corporations?
On the hill, the wind farm prepares to add storage, turning wasted midnight wind into useful morning electricity. In the steel plant, Lucas signs on to a government-backed hydrogen pilot, hoping innovation will save both the factory and the jobs.
Slowly, beneath the headlines, the energy system is being rebuilt, creating winners and losers in every region of the world. For a family, a plant manager, and a wind technician, these global forces show up as bills, investment plans, and new equipment on the ground.
The question is whether this green transition spreads industrial jobs widely or concentrates power in a hand.
Years from now, people will look back from their homes, their factories, and their wind farms and ask, who really benefited from this transformation?
What do you think? Will the green transition create a fair new wave of industrial jobs or deepen the gap between rich and poor countries?
Share your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe to Economic 8-Bit so you never miss our deep dives into the world economy.